What's going on, party people? This is Mosh Pit Josh here, and you're listening to the Hood Rat Recap Podcast.
We got bored. So we started a podcast about the best bar band in the land, man. Wait a second, guys. What is this? Are we on some indie rock? Is this hold music for like an indie rock station? What kind of music are we playing there? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so you are listening to the Hood Rat Recap Podcast, and so we've run into some issues with Spotify. So we are ironing those out, but for now, we are suspending the use of all copyrighted material, Hold Steady material, Craig Finn material. And so that is music by Alex Grohl, which is free for use. Thank you very much, Alex Grohl. But welcome to the podcast.
See the brother of the guy in the Foo Fighters? I mean, who is this guy?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we got flagged by the Spotify bots, and we are in the process of working things out with the Hold Steady camp, and we should be back with your favorite Hold Steady music for our intro music and all our little bits.
Yeah, and it's not the Hold Steady camp is wonderful. It's not them. It's more of the streamer that uses the green logo. They're good to listen to, but they're giving us a problem. And when you say we're ironing stuff out, I think we're just throwing money at the problem. That's how we're ironing it out.
Yeah, but we'll be back to our normal format. But for now, welcome to the Hood Rat Recap Podcast.
So this is Flashcast. Can we still use the echo effect, or is that under probation too?
I think we're allowed. Okay. So before we jump into what we're jumping into, other Hood Rat Recap news, we wanted to let you all know that we launched a website. You can visit thehoodratrecap.com and get all of our past episodes, our current episodes, and find our social media, hit our speak pipe. We even threw a quiz up there for you to check out, so please check that out. But we are here to talk today about, Mike, you went on a road trip.
Yes, I did. I went with Spunky Comstock from the 70s and 80s podcast. You know, they share the studio here with us, literally, at the Hood Rat Recap. And we went on a little Iowa road trip. It was quite the adventure. We started out with a flat tire at the Field of Dreams, and it just we ended up driving a minivan into a biker bar, and it just kind of went from there. But we did catch a great show. We caught Craig Finn at Codfish Hollow, which is just this amazing venue. We're going to talk about it here with Spunky. And then Bob Mould played after it. But first I wanted to talk to Mike in Vancouver. He left us a speak pipe, and he went to an earlier version of the Craig Finn Bob Mould show, and then he gives us a little review on Craig Finn's new album. He's calling from an exotic location, so let's hear that right away, Gaspar.
All right.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Vancouver with quick initial reactions to Craig's new album. I put something similar in the Facebook group, but my impressions may have to come with an asterisk because I think I heard it in optimal conditions. We had seen Craig open up for Bob Mould in San Diego on Tuesday the 1st, and then at Pappy's and Harriet's in Joshua Tree on Wednesday the 2nd. We stayed in the Joshua Tree area, and the album dropped about 9 p.m. Thursday night. We were out by the fire, under the stars in the desert, having a couple of cold beverages, and then later into the hot tub. So perfect conditions to hear everything Craig and his backing band did. Absolutely love it, and it's something I'm going to remember for a long, long time. Thanks, bye.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing show. I mean, could you imagine checking out Craig Finn in the hot tub at Joshua Tree?
So he went 2 nights in a row, San Diego and then Joshua Tree. And I know you're from the East Coast, Gaspar, so you've probably never heard of these places. But these places are some of the most beautiful places in the country. I've been to both, luckily, and they are just phenomenal. I can't believe. And then you got to listen to the album as it dropped in the hot tub. That's just, Mike, thanks for that. Thanks for that speak pipe there. Thanks for that voicemail. That just, that made our day. That was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're talking about the new record, many of you online were discussing the way we were discussing what the chronological order of the songs would be to tell the story on Always Been. So we put a poll up on our website. If you go to thehoodratrecap.com and click on polls, you can take our poll and put the record in the order that you think it should be in. We'd love to discuss that on a future episode, so please hit that up. But let's get into your show, Mike. So you took a road trip out to Iowa, right?
Yes, we went out to Maqueda, Iowa. This was me and Spunky Comstock from the 70s versus the 80s. And we figured since we're in Iowa, let's make a little road trip out of it. So the first thing we did when we got to the Field of Dreams is we changed a flat tire in a windstorm. And so that was pretty cool. We got to see the whole Field of Dreams. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but it looks exactly the same as the movie, and it's kind of free to go to. And this whole thing, we went in the middle, the concert was on Tuesday night, the April 15th. So we were in Iowa in the middle of the week, and everything we went to, it was just us. We were all by ourselves. We went to a super cool hiking trail with a bunch of caves nearby. We were the only ones there. When they came back, they were doing a prescribed burn. And then, of course, the day after the concert, I didn't want to jinx these guys because, they're Craig Finn and Bob Mould concert. They are both bespectacled lead singers. And then, and how many lead singers do you know that wear glasses? There's Buddy Holly, Elvis Costello. And does Craig kind of look like Elvis Costello? Is that just me? And then there's, Craig Finn and Bob Mould. But the next day we went to the Buddy Holly crash site and memorial at the surf club, where they have a giant pair of his glasses out at marking where the crash site is. And it's just in the middle of a farm field. There's a little parking lot there, and then they put up some memorials stuff, but it's just an unofficial memorial. And then the surf club, me and Brian love that stuff. We love the retro stuff, obviously, and they have it set up like 1959. It's all redone as 1959, and we were the only ones there. We get everything in Iowa is free, and apparently everything you do by yourself. We were the only ones there, and we just kind of walked through this silent the surf club. It's kind of done. Like surfing must have been the cool thing in the 50s, so they called it the surf club. It started in the 1930s, actually, with a big band, so it predates rock. They had this, the big band started there before rock. So, and then in the back green room, they have, everybody can sign their name. I guess Barack Obama signed his name there. And, people, so many groups have signed their name. They're signing them on the door jams and even the edge of the door where there's no room to sign. They're signing there. And I guess that's where they flipped the coin in that green room to see who was going to go on the plane trip or not. So it was just amazing. And if you go over to the 70s and 80s podcast, we go into great detail about the song American Pie and talk a little more Field of Dreams stuff over there so you can get the full context.
So just to back that up a little bit. So the crash site is, you're saying it's a parking lot, and then there's just a big set of glasses in the field, Buddy Holly glasses?
There's a big set of glasses. I can post a picture of that. That's where you enter the field, and then you walk down this fence line for a half a mile. It's just, you're in a cornfield. If you've seen Field of Dreams, that's where you are. And, the corn's not growing yet. But you go to the fence, and I guess the fence is still there. I guess the reason it stopped, the plane stopped at a fence. It crashed and turned into like a ball, and it kept rolling, and then it hit the fence, and that's where the memorial is, yeah.
Awesome. So if you got pictures and stuff, that might be fun to put up on the website.
Yes,
the photographs from the field trip. Now, did you sign your name on the wall?
We did not. That wall was pretty full. I mean, we could have done anything we want. We were in the place all by ourselves, but and so that's just that's in Clear Lake, Iowa, and it's all kind of done in Art Deco, like Lloyd Wright style. So it's just weird. It's like in a farm field, but it's all Art Deco decoration. Just beautiful town. We kind of driving through, but so I recommend that to anybody. Go over to the 70s and 80s and you can hear the full count. But the show was amazing, and
that venue looked pretty cool too. So that was Codfish Hollow, you said, right?
Codfish Hollow, and I thought it was a new venue. Craig knows the exact date. He played there in 2014, and he says he still knows the exact date. He said it was 2014, 2015. I don't remember, but so he's played there before. They had a town crier that we're going to play a little sound clip from. They came out and announced the bands. He looked like Jesse Ventura from The Predator.
Final act from San
big hat, the big fringe jacket with all these punk rock like Black Flag, and then it had like some outlaw country bands on there that Brian kind of knew, and he had just a bunch of patches on his jacket, and he came out and did a town crier with the shooting off the bubble guns. He had these guns that made bubbles, and he was just kind of spraying the crowd down with them. It was just really, and there was farm dogs. They didn't have leashes. I don't even think they had collars. They were just farm dogs. They were walking through the venue in the middle of the venue. We took a left at the cows, and you can camp there overnight for free in the cow field. So and some people took advantage of that. So
oh wow,
it's almost like a Woodstock type setting.
That's pretty cool. So from your pictures, it looked like the venue itself is a barn, right?
Yes, it's like a A-frame barn, almost like a half pipe. It's really long and skinny. So when you get outside the barn, they have it was kind of cold because it was April. They had some bonfires, but you go stand out there and you can hear it just perfect because it's set up for audio. It just shoots it out like a half pipe, the sound, and you can just hear it beautifully when you stand outside. We went to the Salt Shed in Chicago. I'm trying to, I might like this a little better than the Salt Shed. I love the Salt Shed too, so it's hard to pick. This was an amazing venue. They had food trucks and
definitely seemed like a very cool vibe.
Yes, it was very, it was a very cool vibe for sure. And then I stood next to Jeff North, who remembered meeting you at First Avenue, Gaspar. And so we had a great talk with him, and I'm actually going to use a lot of he stood next to me, but he got better photos than me, so we're going to use some of his photos on the episode here and give him
Jeff
credit.
is the guy I met at Fair State Brewery, actually. That's okay. I believe he works there, and it's a co-op, so he's kind of a co-owner of, I think everyone who works there is a co-owner of Fair State. So if you're in Minneapolis, definitely check out Fair State. So, all right. So you're hanging out with Jeff in this A-frame barn, and take me through the show. What do we get?
So Craig, he starts out with "Be Honest." I was excited because this was just a week after the album had been released, and I was like, I'm going to hear the new album, and he does play a lot of the new album. I seen him 2 months ago where he only played like 2 or 3 songs off the unreleased album at that time. So, but he starts out with some old favorites. He starts out with "Be Honest," which is a top 3 Craig Finn song for me. I just love that song. And then he went into the Amarillo Kid, and he kind of explained, he's kind of told that story of why he mispronounces it as the Amarillo Kid. And so those are 2 top Craig Finn songs for me. And then he goes right into "People of Substance," Bethany, in the new album. And he played "Messing with the Settings," Jessamine, "Crumbs," "It's Never Been a Fair Fight," and then he ends with "Clayton."
That's a really good set too. So, all right. So he's not playing heavy on the new record. He's playing a couple songs, but I know "Crumbs" probably went over very well. I know it did when I saw him, but how does a song like "Clayton" go over?
Oh, I loved it. It sounded so great live. And Craig was kind of giving his banter in between songs, and who Brian, who's never seen Craig live, was kind of getting into the album because of the banter that Craig was saying in between songs, kind of explaining what each one's alike. But Clayton sounded amazing live. I liked it even better than the album version, and of course it sounds amazing on the album. So
awesome. And getting "You Never Been a Fair Fight's always a favorite for me. I've seen him do it a few times. My favorite was when he played it at Carnegie Hall. It's a pretty solid set. And
Craig is he's made a joke he didn't want to compete, rock and roll with Bob Mould because he's like, you won't win that battle. So he just was backed by Nelson Devereaux, who I've seen him back him. I think he backed him for a Legacy of Rentals. He also backed him there a little bit in Minnesota. And I had told that story on the podcast as soon as I went home and started Googling saxophone lessons, because this guy is just so cool. Sounds so cool on the saxophone, plays a little flute in the background, does a little bit of the keyboard, some of the ambient keyboard. So it's just Craig and him, and they sound great together, but it's a really quiet, he said they really invite you in. And this was, as you're going to hear the story, I didn't know that Brian had never been in the front of the stage. I went to my normal spot where if Craig swings his guitar too much, he's going to hit me in the face. I'm right in front of Craig, and I didn't know that Brian had never gotten that close up in a concert before. So it was quiet. We heard them, and then Bob Mould came out and just crushed us with this Bob Mouldism as he does.
How was Bob Mould?
he is the Energizer Bunny. He just, every song brings the same amount of energy to every song, just goes and goes. Not much banter between songs. I mean, he's just the Energizer Bunny. He's just going and going. He has a large stack of orange amps. You know, the orange is the company's name of the amps, and plus they're also orange in color, so that's how you can tell. Which I never seen an artist do that before. He had all the orange amps, which look kind of cool. But he's just like his normal three-piece. You know, he goes to the left of the stage, does lead guitar, and I don't know who was playing the bassist for him, but he was a really good bassist, and he was just studying, you know, Bob Mould. He was just playing off Bob Mould. He was just like staring at Bob Mould. Whenever Bob Mould did something, he would just kind of play off it, and the drummer was excellent and did the same thing. So the three of them were just really good. And we went out because Brian, we're telling the story, didn't bring his earplugs, but we went out and like I said, the half pipe, we could hear it just perfect outside the barn. When we went out by the bonfires and started eating and by the food trucks and stuff, we could just hear him just perfect. And he's just the Energizer Bunny, and he sounded great.
Now, does he play mostly Bob Mould solo stuff, or are you getting Husker Du, or are you getting Sugar, or?
You get a little bit of Husker Du and a little bit of Sugar, and he just released an album about a week before Craig did, so his album is fresh and brand new, and it sounds really good. So he was kind of playing heavy onto that album, so you're getting a lot of Bob Mould solo.
So now this was Brian's first experience with Craig Finn, right?
Yes, he gave us a song review of People of Substance, you know, on the release episode. You can go back and listen to that. Yeah, so this is his first experience with it, and it was pretty crazy getting there. Like I said, we had the flat tire just a few hours before. I guess Jeff North got a speeding ticket going there. And you have to go down a long dirt road. It was like going down the Oregon Trail. So
So why don't we check out you and Brian on the 70s vs. 80s podcast had a discussion about Brian's first experience with Craig Finn live and the show in general between the two of you. So why don't we check that out?
So Brian, so I'm here with Spunky Comstock from the 70s versus the 80s. We started out this trip fixing a flat tire at the Field of Dreams, which is in the middle of a windstorm.
Every concert's more appreciated when you have to change a flat tire or you have to go through some difficulty to get there. It makes you enjoy the music just that much more. At least we didn't get a speeding ticket like that one guy that we stood next to by the stage.
Yeah, he got a speeding ticket. And, well, driving up now, your GPS said a little funny thing. What it is.
This is continue on or continue off the paved road. It's kind of like that Jeff Foxworthy thing where you know you're a redneck if the directions to your house say turn off the paved road. The Google Maps said that exact same thing. It's like continue on to the unpaved road.
Well, I remember when GPS first started, it would say stuff like your known location is no longer known, so go on without us or whatever. And it's like, so yeah, we're like on the Oregon Trail here. All of a sudden, we're on this gravel road, and we can see like we almost look like the Apache. We could see the wagons throwing dust up. We could see the other vehicles throwing dust, and we knew how many vehicles were ahead of us because we could just see these dust clouds on the road. And then eventually we turn left at the cow pasture, and there's a bunch of cows there that we turned left, and it was just an amazing property. What were your thoughts on it, Brian?
Yeah, so there's like this, it was like an upper parking lot. I guess there's a VIP parking lot, but you know, being that we're on a road trip, we're not going to be getting VIP parking. We're going to be doing it the whole roughing it way. But basically, it looked like an old cow pasture. You just parked, and then there was a bus that looked like the school bus that the Electric Mayhem uses in the Muppet movie, except it was painted black, and it was like the cool bus. We didn't take it, though, being young and hip and able. We walked downhill, down the Codfish Hollow path hill to get to this venue.
Yeah, walking downhill was that means on the way home we got to walk in the pitch darkness uphill.
Yeah, what goes down must come up.
Yeah, we didn't run into any cows. And this parking lot, this cow pasture parking lot, they let you camp there overnight. I know some of the guys, instead of driving out of there like we did, they just camped overnight. So they let you camp overnight for free, I guess. Which
is a nice touch because you could save a bundle on hotel accommodations. So as we walked down that hill, this was a cool April, evening turning to night, and it dropped like about 7-8 degrees as you walk deeper into Codfish Hollow, and there was like lights were strung along the fence line, but the generator wasn't running and the lights weren't turned on. So it even would have been cooler if they had given us the full effect. I guess it was the first show at the venue for the season.
Yeah.
So they're still kind of, whoever, they must not have hired the person yet that turns the lights on.
Yeah. So I guess Craig Finn's voice was the first voice of the whole season here. And what a venue. I mean, this thing was like a barn. It was like an A-frame barn, but it was really
Rounded
long
like
and
A-frame, yeah.
and narrow. It was almost like a half pipe shaped barn. And it was just perfect. When you got outside the barn, you almost got better sound because it was just perfectly set up for sound.
Well, we were able to make our way right up to the stage, which is like the closest I've ever been to for a concert. Even closer than like when my kids would be like in 4th grade doing a school choir concert. I didn't even get this close for that.
Yeah, I often get made fun of on this podcast for being in front row, standing right next to Craig. If he swings his guitar, he's going to hit me in the face. And that's exactly where we were. And I didn't realize this was your first time in the front row, Brian. I had no idea.
Usually
I trudged you up there.
Yeah, I'm general admission kind of guy, or I'm with people that don't want to be up front. And so I just, being easy to be on a road trip with, right? I'll eat wherever anyone wants. I'll drive all the stints of the road trip. I'll help change flat tires. So I try to be easy on the road trip, so that I'm also easy to go to concerts with. If you want to, sit in the general admission way back, or like we were at row 64 at Red Rocks, it's like, yeah, I'm there. I'm just love the live music. So being that close, I could have, if I had a drink and there wasn't a sign that said "Don't put drinks on the stage," I could have put my drink on the stage. Craig must have taken a big hit of water or something, because on the first song he's blowing out saliva as he's singing. He's into the singing. You can see that, but it's like I just had to take a half step back so I didn't get showered by Craig Finn's saliva in the first set.
Yeah, I should have told you that's part of the fun.
That's
We were in the saliva seats. It's kind of like Blue Man Group. You got to have a splash pad area.
Or 70s, and we'll say like going to a Gallagher show.
So, so Brian, let me ask you this: you listened to how many hours did it say you streamed last year?
Yeah, so last year Spotify said I listened to 115,000 and change minutes of music, and except for the song that you told me to listen to, I had never heard any of these songs before, both for Craig Finn or for Bob Mould.
Wow.
Our musical tastes are different. Now, I've known you for like 34 years, sixth grade, 7th grade, something like that. You've really only you've really only tried to open my eyes to the Hold Steady and Craig Finn in the last couple of years. I don't know if the podcast is inspiring you or just old age is inspiring you to share what you like with your friends. But yes, Hold Steady and Craig Finn have now been played on my Spotify streaming list. So now I can't say that there's 115,000 minutes with no Craig Finn or Bob Mould on it.
And I'm just guessing here, but I'm guessing you're kind of a bigger fan of Craig Finn's solo than Hold Steady. Am I correct?
I don't know. The Hold Steady. I mean, Craig Finn, right? If he's part of the songwriting thing, he's an excellent songwriter, and that goes through the ages, right? There were good songwriters in the 60s and the 70s. I'm not sure about the 80s. I'm not sure about disco, but there were good songwriters through the ages, and Craig Finn, carries on that mantle of great songwriting. He does write like story songs and then performs them, and when you hear the actual artist that wrote the songs performing them, it just makes them better, especially these deeper story songs. So the Hold Steady stuff you have me listen to, I think you've curated stuff that would be more of my taste that I've liked. And then again, good music is good music, and I'm just a fan of live music. It's different to be there, seeing it made right in front of you, and then in this case, it's Codfish Hollow, right in front of you. Like I said, we were in the splatter zone, I guess. I didn't bring rain gear and I didn't bring earplugs, so I was really unprepared for the front row.
Yeah, Brian is. Let me tell you this, guys. He's the guy that shows up. Well, he shows up at a Bob Mould, Craig Finn concert in a minivan. Well, both of us did, and I was grateful for that for Brian for driving. And then he's the guy that shows up at a Bob Mould concert without earplugs. I even offered them to you in the hotel room, but you wouldn't take them. You wouldn't take the plastic baggie full of earplugs.
I should have, but because when I go to the races, I've gone to NASCAR races, I'll use them there, because otherwise it's just like your hearing's getting destroyed and you hear nothing except it sounds like you have the test pattern static on the TV at full tilt is what a NASCAR race sounds like when they're going. You don't have earplugs in.
Okay. And so Brian's going without the earplugs, front row, Bob Mould. But the one part I know you did hear is you heard Craig Finn describing what his album was about. And then you had a pretty good line there, why don't you?
Absolutely.
And we like to bring everything back to the 70s and 80s. Why don't you give me that line
70s and
there?
80s, and I like to bring everything back to things I like. So part of the trip is we also were going to go by the Buddy Holly crash site in the Surf Ballroom on the next day after the Craig Finn Bob Mould concert. So I had been listening to some Waylon Jennings to prompt that, because Waylon gave up his seat on the plane, famous story. And while Craig Finn's starting to tell what the protagonist's story is for his new solo album, it's the person who doesn't believe in God but becomes a preacher and is good at it. And I said, and the guy who was standing next to us laughed at it, the guy that got the speeding ticket. Apparently there is a speed limit in Iowa. We never saw a speed limit sign, so I thought the speed limit was as fast as you want to go or as fast as the car in front of you is driving. So there's a line in Waylon Jennings' song about talking to a preacher. He said God was on his side. Talking to a pusher, they both were selling highs. And it like goes with this new Craig Finn album, because there's that People of Substance song, which might be about people that used to get high. So pushing highs, religion being a high, to selling a new high. And I thought it was perfect. I said that line, and the guy laughed, because it's true. I think religion is a way to get a high, and you don't have to believe in God to be able to sell it. He's just a good salesman, the protagonist of the Craig Finn song. So that's me thinking, bringing everything back to something I like. So Craig Finn's put on this great show. He's got, Mr. Wind instruments guy over there with them playing sax and clarinet, and he tried to play flute and it didn't work out for him, so he just had the flute looped in. So they're doing that, and I'm thinking Waylon Jennings song lyrics to match up with what Craig Finn's saying. So that's just me. I can find that in anything. But again, Waylon was a fantastic songwriter. I mean, more known for his outlaw stuff and being on the Dukes of Hazzard as the balladeer, but he really wrote some good songs. And obviously, you guys all know, since you listen to this podcast, that Craig Finn's a fantastic songwriter.
All right, Brian, I think you did it. You worked Craig Finn into the opening theme song of Dukes of Hazzard, and I don't know where we would go from there.
Well, I was going to say about driving a minivan. So after we were waiting for the tire to be fixed, we wanted to get lunch. We were trying to look for a barbecue joint. The guy at the discount tire was like, "Oh, I'm new here. I don't know any barbecue joints." We ended up at this bar that had good ratings on Google, but it ended up being a biker bar. And so I don't know if the Hold Steady fans and biker bar denizens, like if that Venn diagram is like two separate circles. I'm thinking it might be. And there were two guys in there like day drinking, because I guess that's what you do in Iowa on a Tuesday. But it's like if they would have like been that old, the record stops as the two, people going to the Hold Steady or the Craig Finn show up in the biker bar in Iowa. If there had been a bar fight, my line would have been, I guess you guys have never had your ass kicked by a guy driving a minivan before.
Or this is where I famously got shamed out of ordering a Diet Coke, and I got a warm Coke with Santa Claus on it.
Cutting edge stuff at this bar in Dubuque, Iowa.
So there we ended up at the biker bar after we got the flat tire, and like I said, I drank I got shamed out of ordering a Diet Coke at the biker bar, so I had a warm Coke with Santa Claus on it. So I think they were on their same 12-pack of Coke from last Christmas. I don't think too many people order them there. So that was a pretty crazy time, but that venue is just amazing. I wish we would have known about the camping. I think I would have liked to camp next to the cows all night and see how that gone, but just an amazing venue.
All right. Well, to wrap this up, you ran into some new Hood Rat Recap fans.
Yes, at the show.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we, you spoke to them and did a short little interview. Why don't we hear what they had to say?
Okay.
So guys, what's your names and where are you from?
Yeah, this is Dylan and Scott, and we're from Nebraska and Kansas.
Yep.
And we just want to let you know that you're going to get 2 more followers after this show.
Because Craig Finn is the best He's the best artist out there. He's writing lyrics that nobody else is writing. It's good, and you should all follow this podcast.
Thank you for saying what needs to be said.
I love those guys. You know who they reminded me of? They one of my favorite movies is Swingers, and I don't know if you remember the boy named Sue when he gets in the fight with the House of Pain guys, and then they go back and they're all playing. Sue's playing Sega with the House of Pain guys. And one of them looked like Sue, and the other one looked like the House of Pain guys. These guys were great. Love those guys from Nebraska.
Awesome.
Nebraska and Kansas, so you probably won't catch these guys too much at the Brooklyn Bowl. So it's great to get out in the country and just see who these fans are. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And we appreciate them, and I hope they are listening to the show, but welcome on board if you are. So sounds like it was a great show. Sounds like you had a great time. And look into the future. We have the Minnesota shows coming up soon, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So that's going to be the first weekend in May. I'll be flying out to Minnesota and hanging out with Mike all week. And there's been a lot of speculation online about who's going to be the opening acts. So I don't think they've officially put anything out.
So I'm just speculating because they haven't put anything out. That's kind of weird. They haven't put anything out, and maybe by the time this post that they'll be announced. But I'm kind of thinking you'll hear some Bad Hats who have a really cool song called Super America, which is about the gas station that Craig sings about in his latest album. They all turned into speedways, so there's no longer a Super America, and that song is amazing. We probably can't play it here now because because of our thing going on right now. But so that's amazing. They played with him at the Surly Fest. That's the show when we had Mosh Pit Josh on. How we talked about he was dressed like he was dressed like he was going up Mount Everest. He had the gloves, the hat, because it got really cold by the time the Hold Steady took the stage, and that episode actually might not be on the, if you want to go back and listen to that episode, it's great, but it might not be on the one with the green logo because you might have to go to one of the other to listen to that one. That's a great episode. So I think Bad Hats might play. And then also I think there's a chance that Kiss the Tiger, although they played with them last time they were at First Avenue. I don't know if you remember Kiss the Tiger, Gaspar.
Do. Yeah, they were pretty good.
So I think that's another chance. Otherwise, I think it's just going to be out of the blue, someone we're not even thinking about.
All right. Well, I don't know if it's a speculation because I'm not basing it on anything. I'm going to call it more a wish list. But I did check tour dates, and it would be theoretically possible. I'd like to see Dory open up for one of the shows.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of them. I'm actually going to see them in November when they play in Bowery Ballroom. But it's a possibility. They're Minnesota-based, right?
Yeah.
So
I think they're like from the same side of town as me too. And I was thinking, what do you think about Dillinger 4?
That would be amazing.
That's a possibility. I don't know the last time they played First Avenue.
I mean, that's a possibility. Dillinger 4 has no upcoming shows on Bandcamp. I do know that they are playing. Are they playing Riot Fest? Or are they playing, there was another festival that was announced.
So that's a speculation.
But, all right, so we have Dillinger 4, we have Dory, and we have...
Bad Hats.
Bad Hats.
Okay. Maybe we could get a Shaky Graves because they're playing at my casino. That might be too close for them to come back in town, but yeah.
All right, well, if you have some thoughts, although this will probably go up a little bit too late, but if you happen to hear this before the weekend kicks off, why don't you hit us up on the socials and tell us who you think is going to open up for Hold Steady Separation Sunday weekend. But I am very much looking forward to that group of shows. That's going to be a lot of fun. And poor Mike is going to have to deal with me being a Minnesota tourist for a couple of days.
I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about you being a suburban tourist because I kind of live like 25 minutes from Minneapolis, so First Avenue. So it's not the same as, I know you like Minneapolis, but this is not Minneapolis.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at these Minnesota shows. Stick to the end of the show. I'm going to give you some travel tips if you're heading to Minnesota, and I think they'll be very useful. There's no...
All right. We're looking forward to those. All right. Well, we should acknowledge, by the way, Kevin didn't get to join us on this one. He's traveling for work. So, Kevin, we miss you, but you'll be back for the next episode to hear about all of our fun in Minnesota. So we'll catch you then. But we want to thank you guys for listening. We do this because you guys have been awesome about listening to us. The numbers have been amazing. We see we grow in listenership every day. So please continue. Tell a friend, like us, subscribe, or all the stuff that everybody always says. But thank you guys for being a part of this. And as I said, we have the new website. If you want to check us out there, it's the hoodratrecap.com. You can find all our episodes up there and the poll. And we're going to post some of Mike's travel pictures, which will be kind of fun. We still do have the link tree, which is linktr.ee/the hoodrat recap, which is always a great jumping off point for everything Hood Rat Recap. And Mike, if they wanted to be part of the show and leave us a message, where would they do that?
Yes, you can leave us a voicemail on the link of the show notes, and you don't have to be like Mike from Vancouver. You don't have to call from an exotic fire pit in Joshua Tree. You can just do it from your living room. Just leave us a voicemail. Let us know what you think of this new album. Let us know what you're looking forward to at the Minnesota shows, or just tell us where we're wrong or what we got wrong. And just click on it and leave us a voicemail, and you will hear yourself on the next episode.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. That's Mike. I'm Gaspar. And us guys, and all you guys and gals, we are all the Hood Rat Recap.
Gaspar, so many people are coming into Minnesota for this show this weekend. I have some travel tips that are exclusive just to Minnesota. If you're coming into Minnesota for the first time, you might need to know these. And I think these are going to be uber helpful. First of all, the temperature should be in the 50s. And I even looked this up for, we have a lot of fans coming. Hurricane Jess is coming from the UK. So I looked this up. It's 50s Fahrenheit. That's 10 Celsius. So I think you guys know what that means. Don't pack any long pants. Don't pack any jackets. Just wear shorts the whole time. Last time Martin Fitzgerald was here, he came, and I also looked this up. Fahrenheit and Celsius, they cross at 40 below, so that means 40 below Fahrenheit and Celsius mean the same thing. So Martin, last time you came here, it was 40 below, so that means the same thing both ways. You came here on your little Husker Du expedition. This time as you're given the trivia contest, just wear a sleeveless shirt and short shorts. You're going to be fine. It's going to be 10 Celsius, I'm telling you. You're going to be perfectly fine. Another thing, if you come to Minnesota and if you're driving and you get to a four-way stop and there's 3 other Minnesotans there, just take the ignition out, get outside your car and start waving the other people through, because otherwise you're going to be stuck there. Everyone's going to be going, no, you go. You're going to miss the show. So just start waving, get out of your car and just start waving people through. Another thing, if you're driving, don't honk your horn, because if you do that, that's like, you might as well send out an Amber Alert. Everyone's going to get out of their car and start searching around going, somebody honked their horn. What's amiss? Something's wrong. So don't honk your horn when you're here. If you get thirsty and you go to the grocery store, don't ask for soda, because they're going to walk you straight to the Arm & Hammer section. As well they should. It's not called soda. It's called pop here. Well, who says soda? Who are you? The Great Gatsby? Or if you're in the UK, who are you? David Copperfield? Making all these transitions to doing all these transitions to UK is just exhausting me. I'm giving up. Those are my travel tips to Minnesota. I know they've been very useful, very helpful. You're welcome. You're welcome.